Three Wise Radio.
Welcome to Three Wise Radio, a podcast where we talk about video games, movies, comic books, TV, technology, the internet, and pretty much everything else media related. My name is Joe Greller. I am broadcasting live from anywhere that is not Nashville, Tennessee. And join me as usual is Garrett Welker and Sam Pixley. How are you this week?
I'm doing great, Joe. I mean, kind of bummed the Blues just got knocked out, as you are, but, you know, we're still hanging in.
We are at the point where it is nice and sunny out, but it is deceptively sunny because it is still pretty chilly out. So
Yeah, light jacket weather.
Weather's tricky to figure out just by looking outside, so you actually have to go outside, make an assessment. Mildly irritating.
Yeah.
So no complaints, really.
That's why I do not miss Chicago on that point. The weather, anyway. But Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out this week, so we'll be reviewing that. Also, we have a plethora of trailers and other headlines, so we'll be digging into the Gauntlet. Haven't done that in a very long time. But first and foremost, some headlines, starting with Netflix and... Well, Netflix is looking to secure director J.C. Chander's Triple Frontier and wants Ben and Casey Affleck to star. According to Deadline, nothing has been set in stone yet, but the popular streaming service appears to be the most promising home for the project. Do you really think you can get Ben and Casey Affleck to star in a Netflix series? However, if they do, they will be going alongside Mahershala Ali. So it'd be three big names right now. Headlining a Netflix series. Do you think the Afflecks are up for it?
It's a show?
It's a show, yes.
I feel like Casey would be, but I feel like Ben's too tied down with stuff with DC going on right now. That's just me, though.
It's a possibility. I don't know how much Ben is still attached to the DC stuff. I mean, we know the Batman's going to come out at a certain point. I'm sure he's going to make cameos and everything from left and right on what he's doing, but I don't know how attached he is anymore or how attached he really was. Like, this isn't a live by night scenario or a town scenario where he's going to be this in depth in the DC universe anymore. So I think he's got the time on his hands. I just don't see him doing a Netflix show. I see maybe Casey, but not Ben.
I don't know.
I could see him doing a Netflix movie, but not a show.
Yeah.
That's a lot more time.
And also, I mean, here's the thing. If you want to break it down, Ben is really the low-tier actor on the totem pole right now with those three, because those two just got nominated for Best Actor. Our Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor.
One Best Actors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did win, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did win. Yeah. So both really won. Ben's low man on the totem pole at this point. Maybe he can take it.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to win anything for a Netflix show.
Well, no, I mean, possibly.
I don't think he cares about winning anything, but I don't know what the show's about. I don't know anything about that at all. What is it? Triple Frontier?
Yes. It's a book. It's based on a book. So
what kind of book?
I don't know. They didn't tell me that, but
I have no idea.
That's the whole Netflix thing. 13 Reasons. I mean, they take heck, Game of Thrones. You had there's another one that's Westworld. I mean, these are maybe not Westworld, but there's books out there now that are being turned into shows left and right. They're kind of just prolonging them and making them 13 episodes. So that seems to be the trend, especially for Netflix lately.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to come to fruition. I think there's too many big cogs in that wheel or in that machine.
So you don't think the project at all will come to fruition, or you
Not
just don't
with them.
think
Not with all three of them.
Gotcha. I think we'll see it though eventually. I just don't think we'll see it with Ben and Casey Affleck, or maybe just Casey and not Ben, or maybe Ben, because Ben may need the money. Speaking of streaming services, The Handmaid's Tale has been hailed as Hulu's most watched premiere ever, acquiring a second series, season, however you want to say it, on the day it was released. It broke Hulu's record of the most watched, including original shows and any ongoing complete series, which includes Seinfeld. So more people have watched this apparently on Hulu than anything else.
Yeah.
Now, I keep hearing a lot of really good stuff about it. It's just not something that's really been at the top of my list yet.
I mean, I think they can exclusively thank politics for that, for the amount of viewership at the current time. I mean,
Isn't it a witch, 1600s witch trial type deal? Or?
No. Handmaid's Tale is a post-apocalyptic future where an extremely hardcore Christian right-wing group basically takes over the entirety of women's rights and just makes them breeding machines.
Damn.
Wasn't there? Isn't that the Cartman joke from South Park last year, where men will just be milked on Mars or whatever?
Might be the reverse of that.
Yeah.
Still call The Handmaid's Tale. Not sure, but they do a good job of predicting the future.
Hulu?
No, Trey and Matt.
Oh, yeah,
South
sorry.
Park. I don't think Hulu does a good job of predicting the future, but yeah, I think it's extremely. A lot of people consider it extremely topical, and I think that's why it's getting the amount of buzz that it's getting. I have not heard anything review-wise. I have not heard anything about storytelling or acting or anything like that. It's always been like the buzz.
Gotcha. I mean, Hulu doesn't have that set series. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have that House of Cards.
They have the Mindy Project, damn it.
Okay, so they have their Arrested Development, but they don't have their, a show that's continued on their platform, but they don't have that original content that was debuted on their network that they have almost exclusive licensing right to. They don't have that big hitter yet. What?
Not many. Yeah, there's nothing there's not a top tier yet.
Yeah, nothing of that caliber. I'll give you that. Okay.
But hits kind of, at least in this world, the streaming world, hits are kind of usually surprises. You don't often get a hit that's just like, oh my God, we knew it was coming the whole time, and it ended up being a roaring success.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty about streaming services. You're allowed to gamble, I think, more than any other medium yet.
For sure.
In film news, Bond 25 is apparently eyeing Sherlock director Paul McGeehan. He is famous for directing the Sherlock episodes with both Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty. And I'm sorry, I'm going to take flack for this. I do not like the dude who plays Moriarty in Sherlock. He's too over the top for me. It's too outlandish. But do you think that's a good choice? I mean, he's directed more than one BBC episode of this. The Sherlock shows are pretty much like short movies to a certain extent, or hour-and-a-half movies. You think this is a good fit for the possible farewell of Daniel Craig? Because at this point, I'm going to assume he's coming back. Because if we're already eyeing directors and we're eyeing studios to pick it up, we haven't heard anything on a new Bond, so I'm assuming he's back by this point.
I would imagine we're in a situation where Craig has agreed to come back, but he gets to have like final approval over everything that happens, essentially. So he's like, yeah, I'll do it, but you got to find directors. Let me know who you're gonna pick, and I get to have like last approval. Not having seen any of the Sherlock shows or knowing who this director is, I think it's a great cast. I think it's a great choice.
No, I mean, like the episodes that Moriarty have been in have been great. I truly enjoy this Moriarty. Like it's a new take on it in a modern day world. It's cool. I like it.
It is very high tension and very action paced. Are
the episodes good?
Yeah.
Despite not liking Moriarty.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's very tense, it's very high action, and you're talking about action in a sense of, let me put it this way. I mean, when you think Sherlock Holmes, you don't think he's going to go to fisticuffs. You know what I'm saying? So you don't think like high speed action, but that's what I get from these episodes, even though they're not physically driven episodes.
I mean, I guess that's also the thing with Bond is you think Sherlock, it's all about, intrigue and whodunit and things like that. Bond, for being the most famous spy of all time, there's not really a ton of deception in these spy movies. Like, you kind of know who the bad guy is from the 20th minute.
Well, isn't that the whole thing? We always joke that usually around the end of Act 1, it's, hi, my name is James Bond. I'll be foiling your plot to this film.
Oh, excellent. Hello, James. I'll be villain.
Yeah.
When was the last Bond where there was an actual, some kind of twist? The World Is Not Enough?
Yeah, maybe.
And even that one, she was still shady the entire time.
But I'll at least hand a twist notion to it because...
Yeah, but did you ever see a Bond where you weren't like, where you were, oh,
Yeah.
Instead of just like saying,
No.
"Oh, you shouldn't treat women like that." Sean Connery.
Yes.
I can't think of one. So much intrigue. Spy thriller extraordinaire.
No,
Something
I
to
mean,
think about.
You're right. Yeah.
It's kind of deflating.
Just completely halted that argument.
I wasn't arguing. I'm a little disappointed now in the Bond series for the first time in my life.
Spy thriller might not be the best coinage for that.
No, not at all, sadly.
Don't think about it too much. Just ignore it. It's fine. It's going to be great.
All right. Something to think about in comic news. Yes, that's right. I'm delving into the world of comic news. Batman 22, which has been held as The Button Part 3, which is a crossover between Batman and The Flash. Yep. We actually got to see a glimpse of the past Flashpoint universe for the first time since Flashpoint happened. Oh, Christ. It's been like 6 years ago at this point?
It's been a while.
Close. Yeah. 5 maybe, I think.
5 or 6, but
yeah.
Anyway, we finally get to see what Thomas Wayne has been up to since the since that story ended, because
the events of Flashpoint.
Yeah, since Flashpoint ended, not a lot. What did you guys think of the whole? I'm sure you looked into it a little bit.
Yes,
what did you think of the whole Thomas and Bruce reunion?
Yeah. So Garrett, are you familiar?
Yeah.
With the ongoing? Yeah. I mean, I like the idea that his father he gets to meet him in another like kind of plane or whatever, and it's, hey Bruce, you should really stop being Batman. You should be a good dad. I didn't get a chance to be a good dad because of my untimely demise, but you don't need to do this for me. You should stop this. You should really stop this. Would have been a lot more impactful if the exact same thing hadn't kind of happened with Alfred and Batman for Snyder's last run. Like the idea of Batman's parents telling him that he shouldn't do this anymore is not a new thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. I mean, if it's either in a vision or a dream or any kind of like an alternate reality, like this is something that's happened before in a couple other mediums as well. I'll be interested to see how he takes this, because he did just have a big storyline with Bane where he's like, I don't do this for my own personal darkness anymore. I do this because these people need help, and I'm doing this for the world, not for my little tiff with my parents being dead. So this could have been a really interesting moment to see how it plays out, but everything for the last 3 years with Batman has been the exact opposite of this moment. So when he's like, you should stop doing this, and he's like, no, this is good for the world, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. See you later. Actually, see you never.
I mean, he wasn't thanks, see you later. I mean, it almost brings a tear to the eye. Like, he's sitting there on the treadmill and Flash is having to hold him back because he wants to bring him with him. I mean...
Yes, it's very emotionally charged, taken out of the context of the last final arcs of his last 3 stories.
So, exactly. So, let's talk about this then with comics and with almost comic book TV shows in general, which I think is where we're getting, because there's another story here that we can talk about now where Kevin Feige came out and said that there's a possibility that the TV shows will cross over with the movies, or they may reboot. Basically what he said is, we're going so far down the rabbit hole here. I mean, in the future, anything's possible. So you have comic books where they're almost like, and going back to our last story here for a second, like Bond movies to a certain extent, where the continuity only makes sense about as far as whatever the previous story was. If you think about it too far back, things don't line up anymore. And that's fine for a genre and a medium that's been going on for almost 100 years, at least 75 in both categories right now. But if we go to the TV universe, we're only 10 years old or less in all these things. And it almost seems like it's, don't think about this show, don't think about this episode. I even know people that have already watched Legends of Tomorrow on Netflix and have had complaints that, and then I get to the crossover episode and I don't know what's going on anymore. So are we at a point where, at least with television, do we need to streamline a little bit more? And maybe in comic books, do we need to not put so much emphasis on past stories to kind of get a perception of where they're at. Almost take like the graphic novel approaches. I'll read this, and this is a great story because it's a self-contained story. But if we start thinking about it as a long overhaul arc, do we bog ourselves down a little bit too much?
No, I think it's attributed to, you hate to say this because you don't know what goes on there, but lazy writing. You can't you can't utilize one of the great arcs. I mean, let's be honest, superheroes and the stories that they tell, there's really like 5 big story arcs that can be told. But the easiest one to kind of utilize is the you don't have to do this line. Like you don't have to be the hero. It's like, well, yes, I do. Okay, but we're going to readdress this in a year's time. So
remember
that's
this.
Fine. You do have to do this, but a year from now, a different villain is going to attack you and beat you up, and then someone else will tell you you don't have to do this. Like, it's a great plot line, but if you use it every year, it loses itself. Like, it doesn't become powerful at all. It just is the status quo. So I think it's just an abuse of that one thread as to maybe a hero discovering that the reason that they do this is different than what they thought it was, instead of just like, oh, I don't have to do this. No, I do have to do this because it's the right thing to do. It's like, put some gray area in there as opposed to just the black and white answer.
Yeah.
Which trope do you think is overbeaten more, that or superheroes dying and coming back to life now?
Well, you can't beat the dead horse because it's already brought back to life, so...
Now you're just beating the immortal horse.
Yeah.
I mean, probably that one, just because it's either done on a small or large scale, probably twice a year for every hero.
The you can't be a hero one, you're saying?
The you don't have to be a hero, yeah. I mean, heroes dying, it feels a little more like, okay, this is coming back, but they got to try and do different things. I mean, I think they're doing really interesting stuff with Captain America right now. That's a very interesting path they're taking, where he's really been a Hydra agent, and they're like, "Oh,
is that
well,
going on? I thought that was like
Secret Empire is happening right now."
Yeah.
And the interesting twist of it was that he right now he just lifted, spoilers for those of you that read comics, in the last issue, he sent Thor away, and then just as the leader of Hydra picked up his hammer and was like, "Who's righteous now? Because I'm the leader of Hydra and I took over the world and I'm holding Thor's hammer, so worthy."
Damn.
Yeah, but the intricate plot was that eventually, so what you found out was that it was Red Skull using essentially the Tesseract, the living Tesseract, or whatever, the living, whatever it is.
Yes.
To reset history so that he was a Hydra agent instead of an American operative. Then you actually find out before Secret Wars that it was actually the American government that originally used the Tesseract to make him an American agent. That in the original history, he was supposed to be a Hydra agent. It sounds backwards and kind of dumb, but to me, I actually kind of like that, at the idea that at his core, the entirety of Captain America is all a lie, is all been influenced. Ooh. Instead of just saying like, oh, they can just write this off that it was a one-time thing, but just saying like, no, actually, this dude has been fucked with since forever, and we don't even know what's real anymore. And he's got Mjolnir, so okay. Damn. It's pretty interesting.
Logan type thing now, where his mind's been so messed with over.
But he doesn't know any of it. He's not aware of any of that.
Oh.
Neither was Logan.
No, he knows. He knows, like, people mess with my mind. America's just like, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting, and going about it a different way. Like, yes, it is cheating because you're rewriting his history by just saying we rewrote his history with a cube and a pen, but it's comics, so whatever.
Sure, and there's always that theory that as a comic book writer, you're perpetually stuck in the second act. So it gets very soap opera-ish because the moment this ends, you can't have a ending. You can't have a catharsis. You have to start up a new problem while you're solving the last one to keep the readers engaged and keep them buying. So
and as a universe, you have to answer to other people.
Yeah. Right.
I can't remember who's writing Secret Empire right now, but they talked about how they had to speak with the writers of Thor to help kind of talk about the hammer situation, and like there's so many different avenues that they have to pursue to make this come together that I think it's really easy to bitch without trying to think of the intricacies. So here we are.
I really do wonder like how much politics goes into that. And I'm not talking like
I bet there's some. It's a
I'm not talking
workplace.
actual politics. I'm just talking about, like you can't do it with this character or this character. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure there's a lot more than you would think.
Yeah. I'm sure like the writers and artists they get on for like the big story arcs like Secret Empire, Secret Wars, stuff like that. They're like, hey, you have to consult with like everybody to do your stuff. But like for other stuff like Doctor Strange's Death of Magic or whatever arc that was that when they first started over again this year, like that involved like no one. So it was like you can do whatever you want with this. It's not going to matter. It might affect. I think it was like Scarlet Witch and Mr. Voodoo or whatever. That was really
but they don't have titles, so
exactly.
Yeah. I think the only person they don't seem to care about right now is Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk or Bruce Banner?
That's the better question.
Bruce Banner.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah, I know. They don't give a shit about him.
Dead.
Do you think he'll ever come back?
Yes.
I
Okay.
would hope so.
What are we talking about here?
We were about to start on to our next headline.
Yes, we were. All right, our last headline before we dive into the Gauntlet, which we just got a plethora of headlines today, so that's why we're doing a Gauntlet. The DLC news has been announced for the first 3 Injustice DLCs.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I'm actually very excited about it. You have Red Hood, Starfire, and Sub-Zero. I'm okay with the Sub-Zero because we did the whole Scorpion in the last one.
He'll be in this one.
Exactly. So why not do a Sub-Zero in this? Just if you want to do a DC character, do a DC character. And there's already talk that apparently in one of the trailers you saw the whole outline of
Oh yeah, you do. I've
all
seen it.
potential DLCs.
Yeah, it's the 3 that were announced, and then like to the left and right of both of those, you get like 3 groups of 3. You get 2 groups of 3 again, and like Black Manta's in the center of one, and then Raiden's in the center of the other one.
Yeah, they know who they're putting out well in advance. They just know who they're putting priority on. I wish Red Hood came out when the game came out, and I think Sub-Zero his character design looks really dumb.
It's Jim Lee that did the character design for it.
He screwed the pooch on that one because he looks horrible. But we just wanted Red Hood for a while.
Yeah.
In this game, I'm excited. I can't wait for this to come out. I pre-ordered it. I'm ready to rock.
Yep. And here's the thing. We still will not get Booster Gold. What do we need to do to get Booster Gold? Do you want Booster Gold? We know he's a fan favorite of us here at 3Wise Media, of both our podcasts, but do you want Booster Gold? Do we need Booster Gold? What needs to be done for the fan's voice to hear?
I think a wrestler, who was it? You guys remember? So wasn't there a wrestler called The Miz? Wasn't he from like Real World or something?
Yeah, I think
He
so.
said that
Yeah, he was
Booster,
in Real World. Yeah,
he said he wants to be Booster Gold in a movie.
That's not helping the cause.
He said because Deadpool's taken, that he wants to try Booster Gold, I believe.
I mean, if you got a guy
that's a good, funny movie there.
Yeah.
No, there is. That's what I'm about ready to say. If you got a guy who is as charismatic as Reynolds to just be full of himself and kind of ham it up, there's a really good Booster Gold storyline out there.
Yeah. Yeah, there definitely is there. Who would you want to be Booster Gold? I know like Nathan Fillion was in.
He's too old.
Cast
You're gonna
for
hate me. You're gonna Channing Tatum.
Yes.
Yep.
I think
he
think
is
he'd
clearly
make
not busy with other superhero movies.
sure, but I think he'd make a great Booster Gold. So full of himself, so cocky, have that like movie star looks.
Can Jonah Hill be Skeet?
Sure.
Or voice of Skeet?
Yeah. Why not?
I would expect nothing less.
Warner Brothers, what are you doing? Get on this. We just made you money again.
Why, laddie, you strap on your kilt and listen to 3Wise Radio.
When there's too many headlines to cover, we throw them into the gauntlet and rapid fire them as quickly as possible. And by rapid fire, we mean we sit here and basically do a lot of headlines. But there's music under it.
Yeah. Like that.
So, yep, exactly. Starting with Gears of War movie to be written by Avatar 2 screenwriter. My take on it basically means that this movie will never come out, much like any of the Avatar sequels.
Dude, my question is, do the Avatar movies all have different writers?
Apparently.
Wow.
Also, does that mean this movie is slated to come out in 2037, or...
If it does come out, it will be 2037, but it's slated to come out in 2019, and then in 4 months, 2020, and then 2021, 2022. And then we'll hold press conferences every 4 months about how this is great and we're working towards it, but it just isn't quite there yet.
I want a Gears of War movie, but this deserves to be... I would like a Gears of War movie because I think it could be like Starship Troopers in terms of... That's a great movie, so you shut your mouth.
No, I'm just like that's just a great analysis.
This belongs in the Gauntlet because you cannot give claim. You can't say this guy, the writer of this movie that's not out yet.
Yeah.
So there's no info.
Yeah. Saying, would you want this to focus on Marcus and them, or would you want this to be like another little side story?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It should focus on them, and but they're small enough characters. Like nobody's gonna get butthurt. There's no that hardcore Gears of War fans. Like that's not my Marcus Phoenix. Like I know the series really well, and they could do just about anything, and I'd be fine with it. It's like who cares?
Okay. What's next, Joe?
Next, Tracy Morgan attends the Kentucky Derby as part of his post-accident bucket list. So my question to you guys is, what is on your bucket list as far as events go?
San Diego Comic-Con. For one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go, just to go,
Events? Just events.
Just events. Like it can be sports, it can be whatever, but it has to be like an actual event. Or what? Why are you questioning the word event? If you're questioning the word event, I'll let you do whatever it is you're thinking of.
I mean, I'd like to go see the pyramids, but I don't know if that's an event.
No.
You can make it an event.
Yes, then everything is an event. I would like to go to the casting room where they're casting Mysterio for the second Spider-Man movie. That event I want to go to.
I'll go with him for that.
That is an event that I would like to be at. I would like to go to a Super Bowl where my team is playing. Kentucky Derby is not on my list.
It's not on mine either, but I'd like to go to a World Cup that's not in America.
Yeah.
But also not in Qatar or Russia, so I'm going to be waiting a while.
At least, 8 years?
At
6
least
years?
12,
Potentially 12, yeah. All right.
Yikes.
I'd like to go to a Stanley Cup where the Blues are there.
I'd like to go to the thing we talked about last week, DC World in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to that event.
I'd like to go there and feel confident in going there. That's all I'll say.
All right. What next?
NBA Street. Who played that when it was young? Or NBA Jam?
Talking Volume 1 or Volume 2?
Which one had Exhibit in it?
I don't know.
That one. That one. That's
that one. I played both.
Well, being released next week is NBA Playgrounds, and instead of 3-on-3, it's 2-on-2. So NBA Jam style play with NBA Street interaction. What? It'll be on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC for only $20 coming out this week.
The fact that I've heard nothing about this game is testament to how I don't think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
No offense to you, but if you've heard about a game and I have not, you had to go into the dark web.
Did you hear about Rocket League before it was announced?
Of course.
Yeah. Actually, I did.
Did you really?
Yeah. Of course.
All right. Fair enough. All right, next. Murder on the Orient Express has basically released pictures this week, and it's all people looking like they're, from the 1920s.
Proper British folk that would be on the Orient Express.
Pretty much, yes, but it includes Johnny Depp, Robert De Niro, Tom Cruise, Kate Blanchett, Anthony Hopkins, and Kenneth Branagh, who's also directing it.
Yes.
That too. What do you guys think of Murder on the Orient Express?
I know nothing about the story. The pictures look pretty cool, but I'm not chomping at the bit to go see this movie right now.
I know there's a small Twitter rebellion that's upset that the pictures of a bunch of white people and that there's not Asians. And the big thing is that the Orient Express, that's not what that means. It's just the name of the train.
Yeah.
But,
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
This book written in 1920 or whatever by Agatha Christie.
And it takes place in Europe.
British white woman. Gosh. Okay.
I mean, the cast is huge. I don't know.
There's a lot of money sunk into this cast. It has to do well.
I don't think it will.
No, I didn't mean it will. I mean it has
Oh
to.
no, it has to. But I think this is going to be a little bit of a whoops-a-daisies. I think this is really a bunch of actors and directors are like, oh my god, we're going to redo Murder in the Orient Express. So much art, so little money.
So they're doing movie 43, but as a murder mystery.
Kind of, but that seems a little more like they had a focus. Whereas this, I think they're doing it just so that they can say they were a part of it.
Gotcha.
Without the prospect that no one in that everybody was so high on the fact that they were doing this that no one actually sobered up for a second to be like, I don't think this is gonna do well.
I'll tell you what, the trailer's good. I may go see it because I like the pictures, and when you have that big of a cast, I'm like a moth to a flame, man. I'm like, ooh, so pretty, and it usually backfires like a moth to a flame.
Joe gets off on ensemble pieces.
I do.
Like a moth to the flame.
Next, 13 Reasons Why has been renewed for season 2 on Netflix, but the book itself doesn't have an actual sequel. What do you guys think of making season 2s or sequels like Kingsman, also The Golden Circle, which we'll talk about in a second, to stories that are based off actual work that don't have sequels? What is your guys' opinion on that?
I think if the original author is okay with it, then I think you grip it and rip it. Because technically it is their intellectual property. However that whole game works. Yeah. But if the original author's okay with it, being like, yeah, do what you want to do. Like, my book is my book. Then that's fine. I don't care at all. I'm excited for Golden Circle.
Yeah.
I am as well. So, the trailer dropped this week. What did you guys think of Golden Circle?
Oh, it looks great.
The teaser or the Kentucky Derby one they let out?
There was a Kentucky Derby one?
Yeah, there was a Kentucky Derby one.
I only watched the Red Band one on the internet. That's the only one I watched.
It looks great. I mean, I'm excited to see. I think they're doing a good job of like throwing a wrinkle in the whole thing with the statesman, kind of the cocky American bravado.
I love that. And then you have Tatum as the agent and Bridges as the the
leader. And I think Halle Berry is going to be the I believe she's going to be the whatchamacallit of this one, the Merlin.
Okay.
The Mark Strong character.
I'm okay with that.
The only issue I have with this is that in the Kentucky Derby one, because we just watched this again recently, like an hour ago, because Garrett's never seen it. But in the Kentucky Derby one, they're like, ooh, whiskey, ooh, oh, they're tasting like this statesman whiskey. And then at one point, Eggsy orders a martini, and the lady gives him a whiskey. And he's like, this isn't a martini. She's like, it is in Texas. Ooh-wee. And he's like, ugh. But the whole thing, in the original Kingsman, they are drinking exclusively whiskey. Yeah. So it's like, where there's a disconnect. Something happened in the year.
They're probably drinking like scotch or something. And they're, you drink a scotch as opposed to like a Jack Daniels or something. Like, that's two very different tastes.
I would agree with that.
So is this like a Marty McFly situation when he travels back in time and gets like is that
sarsaparilla?
Marty McFly where he gets a water and the water just like is like mud?
Oh yeah, in the 1800s, part 3, sure.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, this isn't what I thought it would be. Or is there there's another one where someone travels back in time and gets a whiskey and the whiskey tastes like hot garbage because it's
sarsaparilla,
tub water whiskey, yeah, and just like, ugh.
Sarsaparilla is non-alcoholic and something completely different. It was like the world's first soft drink, basically.
I'm on board.
So, speaking of trailers, though, another gunslinging trailer came out, The Dark Tower. What did you guys think of that one?
I want it.
Yeah.
I like it. Idris Elba, he still got it.
I know a lot of people are like, this isn't my gunslinger. It's supposed to be.
This isn't my gunslinger.
It's supposed to be a sequel to the story. It's not like a direct adaptation.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never read the books. It made me interested to read them, and then I saw that there's like 8 of them. Like, oh, yeah.
So, from what I got from the trailer, I think Garrett's on the right point, is that this kid has read those 8 books about the gunslinger. And he is sucked into the world or the story of whatever is the gunslinger and the Men in Black. Am I just venturing off the deep end here, or am I in?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just really like the line, "Are there guns and bullets in your world?" And he's like, "You're gonna fucking love it." There's so many of those.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm just imagining now, like Roland having all of these. You know, he's just a badass gunslinger, just like
Yeah.
all sorts of shit, but with modern day weaponry.
The only thing about that I don't like is that there is something about the revolver that is like
Real
cool.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, it's always cool, especially the tricks they were doing with it too in the trailer of just throwing the bullets up and dropping in and everything else. I'll let you guys. I'll tell you the one thing I'm scared about with this trailer is that the amount of exposition that was in the trailer. This could either go very good or very bad.
Yeah.
So either they're going to nail it like Back to the Future and just you're going to hear a lot of exposition but not realize it's exposition, or you're going to be bogged down by it being like, oh, now we're explaining why we're going here. Okay, now we're doing this. Holy Christ, now we're talking about this. And it could go either way. I don't know.
I don't think we're going to get, because I think if we're going to get a lot of exposition, I'm totally prepared for just a shit ton of Matthew McConaughey walking slowly while explaining things in this movie. I'm not sure why, but that is what I'm envisioning probably once every 20 minutes.
And you're okay with it?
And if he's explaining it to me while walking slowly forward dressed in black, yeah, it's fine.
What car commercial is he in?
Lincoln.
Like,
Lincoln. So
those
you
are
think
so
it's one
weird.
giant Lincoln commercial?
Yep. It's going to be a Lincoln commercial with gun fu. And I'm okay with it.
I'm actually okay with it too, shockingly. I don't know why. But I am. Our last trailer on the Gauntlet, Marvel's Defenders trailer dropped. First thoughts on the miniseries?
Color me unimpressed.
Okay.
In what way? Just because you've seen all these characters before, you wanted more, you wanted bigger explosions.
No, I think it was okay, but I think the problem is mentally there's in our heads we're now thinking of an Avengers caliber thing, or maybe that's just me, but I'm going to be expecting too much. Also, I think the combat's going to be extremely disappointing because I think they're going to be extremely limited in what they can do. Like their big finisher, while they showed like the four of them punching people in the hallway, looked so bland and not impressive. But that was like their crescendo. Mm-hmm. It really had me concerned for what they're going to do with combat in this. I liked the interactions, but
yeah, I definitely think we'll get a lot of really good chemistry with the cast and stuff on this. But especially after watching through Iron Fist, I'm just like, I need some sort of redemption there.
If you go ahead.
I was going to say, that's the thing, though. Speaking of the combat, I'm halfway through Iron Fist right now, and I still don't have a problem with the combat to a certain extent. And what do you guys want now from a combat in a movie or a TV show when it comes to that? Because I'm going to be honest, maybe it's because we watched Arrow for 4 years and it just slowly went downhill, and anything looks better than that. But what do you guys want from combat in a movie that doesn't like star a martial artist great person or whatever? And that was an awful thing what I just said, but continue.
Martial artist great person.
Martial artist master?
Yes, that. Thank you.
I mean, you can still work up to that point, and like, you know, if they teach the choreography with time to do it, they can still do that properly.
I don't have a problem with it. If it's not the best action in the world, that's fine. It's TV quality stuff. I'm okay with that. As long as it looks like they put effort into it and it doesn't look like an Arrow situation where they clearly cut time on choreography to work on their sweet emotional lines that they have to have everybody give. That I'm fine with. My issue was they used that as like the peak at the end, and it was an extremely bland scene where nothing happened. My issue with this is I get that this is kind of a big deal, but if you told me tomorrow that this was happening, but also season 3 of Daredevil was going to have Bullseye, I'd be more excited for the Bullseye season than I would for this show.
I mean, that's fair. I'm excited for Bullseye anytime, and we can thank
Colin
Colin Farrell for that. Last question on the Defenders trailer. It seems to be the trope, and we saw it in the Kingsman trailer, of playing an old song in your trailer. Yes. Now, there was a Nirvana song in the Defenders trailer. How old does a song need to be to qualify as an old song? Do you qualify the Nirvana song as an old song? And if not, where is your cutoff date?
Okay, first off, I don't understand, because we talked about this when the Thor trailer released. Why does it have to be why do you think it has to be an old song? I think I'm still on the path of like, as long as it fits,
as it's applicable, yeah.
It doesn't matter how old it is. Doesn't matter how new it is. Like, as long as the song or whatever version of the song you're using is able to convey the overall theme that you're trying to get in the trailer or or whatever, like, it doesn't matter.
I think that, I mean, you're right in terms of like conception, but there definitely is an old kind of music thing. And I think if it keeps down this path, honestly, I would say pre 9/11.
Jesus. Why do you use that specific? You couldn't just say 2001. You had to actually put it on a date, and that date specifically?
Yeah. I think we've had this conversation before, Joe.
So hang on. So Smash Mouth's All-Star counts, but like Nelly's Hot in Here does not.
Okay, so
I'm
real quick. What trailers are you envisioning either of those songs being played in?
Daredevil 3 with Bullseye.
I mean, I just blanked and thought of two songs on the opposite ends of that date as quickly as I could.
I'm not, okay, maybe not that specific date, but Joe, we've had this conversation before about how music videos and music and everything was much, pre-2000, was much more high energy, much more colorful. I think that's all it is it's getting these people this older crowd more excited about the past and saying, oh yeah, I remember when that was a song, groovy. I like that they're kicking it back to the roots or whatever, even if it's not necessarily, they're not going back to the roots of the actual stories.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it, pre 9/11.
All right. All right, our last thing on the gauntlet, we're going to delve into real quick the canceled TV shows. And I'm not even going to go through all the list of canceled TV shows because, let's be honest, I don't know if there's a TV show that's getting canceled or gone off the air, minus Vampire Diaries for Sam, that we really care about as a show or even as a people. Is there anything on normal television now? Like, I remember growing up, I would watch this list day after day after day, making sure that my shows got renewed. Is there anything nowadays that you are caring about if it gets renewed or not, or you just hear about it 6 months down the line, like, oh, they're not doing another one? Okay.
I don't watch anything.
Yeah, I'm like racking my brain right now for what I watch on normal TV, but I don't.
Well, you were to watch it on Netflix, because think about it. If you're watching these shows on Netflix when they come out with a season, or they debut the season, it's going to be another year. Be like, oh, there's no season.
I really don't watch anything right now, or Netflix or anything. TV-wise, I can't. I'm still pumping through Legion, but that's at a snail's pace. Like, there's really nothing that I'm watching right now. I think it's just kind of oversaturated, and I'm kind of burnt out on it. So I couldn't care less if any show was canceled, really.
Yeah. So.
So what does that say for the future of entertainment industry?
Apparently it means just every show that's going to exist is Game of Thrones, because they're making 4 of those fucking things.
Okay, then let's end it on that. You guys like Game of Thrones. I don't. Yay or nay on the 4 spin-offs?
4 is a bit much.
I didn't even hear about this.
Oh, yeah. Well, they say one of the reasons that they're ending the show. No, it's because you got to wrap this up.
Yeah. It's so that they
it's
can
because
focus on spin-offs.
they are currently working on 4 potential spin-offs. It's not set in the current time frame. People would love to see the original, like Baratheon, like the War, the Rebellion. There's definitely stories to tell, especially since Martin did such a great job of expanding this entire world. Like, there's stuff there, but I think if you have 4 of them, again, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It might not fail, but it's just not going to be as good. Like, quality. Once you stop caring about quality,
there you have it. That's the gauntlet. We'll try and do better next time.
My mom says I shouldn't listen to Three Lies Radio, but I do it anyways.
I see it within you. Fear, jealousy, betrayal. It is our duty to cleanse the universe of this weakness.
You know, they told me you people were conceited douchebags, but that isn't true at all. Dude! I'm using my wrong eye.
Groot, put your seatbelt on!
So we're saving the galaxy again?
Yep.
Awesome! We're really gonna be able to jack up our prices for 2-time galaxy savers. Yes!
However, the big release and the start of the summer is Guardians of the Galaxy, opening at $145 million domestically. Pretty good haul for the first weekend of May, but I guess the now quote-unquote official start of the summer movie season has begun, even though blockbusters now don't tentpole the summer months as much as they used to. So we're going to take a brief look at the movie itself in a non-spoiler review, and then on Saturday release a full 30-minute cast, how we did with Power Rangers and Logan, and kind of go in depth into the story itself. So to kind of keep it fair, because I'm the one who's normally going to spoil something beyond belief just by accident, I have yet to see the movie for this, but Garrett and Sam have. So I'm going to kind of poke and prod and ask them questions about it. First off, is it as good as the first one? I know it's a very broad question, but what I mean by that is, were you as entertained by the first one? Not was it as good of a story, but were you leaving the theater as entertained with the first one?
Well, Joe, if I could tell you, if I could answer your question with a statement, I actually renamed this movie. And the name of this movie is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume Try Too Hard.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. It was a good time though. It was fun, but I definitely walked out of the theater not feeling the way that I did when I walked out of Guardians the first one.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so I guess the next step is, did we get that tie-in feel to the larger universe that they kept promising? That this was going to be the step in the right, the step in the direction of, now we're going to see Infinity War start to take hold. This is going to be...
No, not at all.
So it's literally just a self-contained Guardian story.
Absolutely.
If anything, it expands more of the Guardian universe.
Oh yeah, Guardian universe for sure. Nothing else to do with anything.
Is Thanos in it at all?
Nope.
Wow.
They say his name because Gamora and what's her name? Nebula are real butthurt about him, but nope, nothing.
Nothing. That is extremely disappointing. So the cameos, anything else? Did it open the door to the sequel, to something? Did it leave you guys looking forward to something at least, or was this kind of just stopping the entire thing dead in its tracks? Clearly you said it's fun, but did it stop the entire Marvel cinematic narrative dead in its tracks, kind of?
Well, no, just because again, I think the Guardians have always been kind of their own self-contained thing, but it definitely stops their story kind of in its tracks.
For now,
yeah.
I mean, there's it teases towards another Guardians movie. And yes, I would obviously continue watching these people even if they had nothing to do with the universe, because that's the one thing that this movie does have going for it, is that you care about these characters. But I could not stress enough, nothing to do with the cinematic universe. If you're only staying after the credits to see cinematic universe stuff, just leave. And
was there 5?
Yep.
I was told there's 5 and it has nothing to do with the cinematic universe.
5, but in the sense of, so you know how you saw some old movies in the 90s or 80s and 90s where the movie would end and then the credits would start to roll and then they'd roll for 5 seconds and then there'd be a funny little thing that happens to the crew afterwards, or this is where this person ended up living the rest of their life. That's what half of those are. They're not oh, this is what's happening in Captain America's world. It's oh shit, Civil War is going on right now. I was kind of expecting. It had nothing to do with anything cinematic at all. It teased what was it teased Guardians, what was coming. There was a nod to something else that again only had to do with Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's it.
Okay, so then we'll go to the film's villain, better or worse, because I'm not even quite sure who the film's villain is just by the trailers themselves. What?
I honestly don't remember who the villain of the first one is.
The first one was Ronan.
Ronan.
Oh, that's right.
Better or worse than Ronan as a villain?
Better.
I guess maybe so if he's forgettable.
Better.
If Ronan was a 6 out of 10, this villain would be a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Is it the classic Marvel villain?
No. Our main villain is not.
This is where we start to get cloudy, so I'll leave it at that. I would say kind of no, but again, there's nothing that's really coming out of left field with this. Yeah. There's nothing that's like, oh, whoa, interesting.
Okay, so I'll pull it back, but try and keep down the same line. Is there, like, you know how we say, like, there's a Marvel formula now, just about?
Yeah.
Does it feel like this still had it, or it did not?
I would say this doesn't have the Marvel formula because it was too busy trying to make more jokes.
Okay.
To its detriment.
Yeah.
That was my big issue with this, was that it felt...
It had a lot of funny jokes, but a lot of them, and Sam and I talked about this when we left theater, but, like, a lot of them just, like, went on for way too long.
They tried to force things. And this was, I think as soon as I walked out with Garrett, the first thing I said was, did you feel like this movie was really good and also really mediocre at the exact same time? Because it would do that where it would go off on a tangent that you just wanted it to skip, and it just kept beating it to death. And that happened a few times. There weren't long times, but it definitely felt like, again, somebody was in the writer's room, was like, we got to make a joke in here. We got to put a joke in here. More funny. Remember, we're Guardians of the Galaxy. We're funny and we do music. Let's make sure that we do that to death. Again, I had a good time. I had a good time, but it was the magic was not there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Better soundtrack, 2 or 1?
1.
1, but this one was very good.
The soundtrack was really good with this one, but I feel like it wasn't I feel like the scenes that they matched up the song choices with didn't always
fit they did in the first one.
It just didn't always have the biggest impact, I guess. So
yeah. Also like that soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks ever, the first one. So it's hard to really compare up against that, but it was good, but not as good.
Okay. Kurt Russell, how was he?
Oh, he's great.
He shines like the sun. He is for sure the new old guy that is in stuff. Yep. Sam Jackson, Jeff Bridges, Kurt Russell.
Yep.
But Kurt Russell's more ballin'. I love Kurt Russell so much.
So do you think we'll get an old man team up with them?
No.
One day?
No.
Why?
One day?
You can't afford those powerhouses.
You can.
Maybe one day, and not in this universe.
Well, no, I don't want in this universe. No. Just talk about in general.
Well, considering how Jeff Bridges' character's dead, yes.
Yeah. Evil
I don't want
Planet,
him in this universe.
Nick Fury,
and
Obadiah Stane teaming up.
I'd watch that. But I apparently don't need
Guardians
much.
of the Retirement Home?
All right, so if you guys had to actually kind of grade this film as on our normal review of see it in theaters, wait till it comes out, or, just don't see it, what would you do? And I'll put the don't see it with a stipulation of don't see in the sense of, well, maybe change it to begrudgingly seeing it. Because I think if you've watched every Marvel movie, you're almost, even if a movie's not good, you're going to purge watch it at this point because it's like, God damn it, I've watched 10 of these things. I may as well watch this one.
Yeah, it's a requirement on the syllabus. Yeah.
It is?
What?
This one is? Or were you just using it as an
in
example?
general for all Marvel movies. Like it's going to take a lot of garbage to make me not see one. See it for sure. See it. I wouldn't even say like, oh, try and make it a matinee. Like, go see the movie. It's a good time. I wouldn't have been upset if I paid full price, but I was very happy that we paid the matinee price.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Okay. Did you guys get 3D or no?
No 3D.
No 3D. Bigger screen. No nothing.
You could tell though. There were some times in this where I could tell that this was supposed to be in 3D, and it did not look great.
From the sense of things flying at you, or
no? From the sense of that green screen is definitely a green screen.
Yeah.
Particularly with Rocket. Rocket would show up sometimes in scenes. A lot of them, they were flying a lot more in this one, just with little jetpacks. And there were lots of times where they were doing camera movement with things going on in the background, and then him showing up, where it's like, whoopsie daisy. May have bit off a little more than you can chew here, unless it looks better with glasses on. But in the 2D, it was a little rough,
a little shaky. All right, and then the last one I'll ask before we kind of sum all this up: Vin Diesel's acting, because he only gets to say one line. Better or worse in this movie?
What's the nicest way to say, we get it, you're a baby, and
I think maybe that.
the charm of the last one was that you didn't shove it down our throats, but in this one you felt the real urge to make sure that Baby Groot was at the epicenter of this entire thing. What's the nice way to say that?
You don't. I don't think you do.
But again, he's good. He's funny.
And
I'm being overly critical, but there's some annoying parts.
I mean, just because you asked, like, how did Vin Diesel do it? Like, anybody could have done this. Anybody could have been Groot.
Really? Because I actually praised Vin Diesel in the last one because I was like, I didn't think Vin Diesel had the acting chops to say the line that differently that many times. And I was actually quite impressed with
an actor and you have a script and all of you would just have one line. It's "I am Groot," and it's like, hey, you just got to do this differently each time. And like, I'm sure James Gunn in another version of the script was like, hey, this is what Groot's actually saying. Like, do your best to kind of convey this in this version of the line, sort of thing. So I don't know.
I'm just saying, we go from "Hi, Gigi baby family" to "I am Groot." Like, I it could have very easily been every time Groot, and that would have been not appealing.
Yeah,
He does have the range in this one again. The range is there.
Okay, good.
Is that what you wanted?
I want confirmation. That's all. I wanted a peace of mind, basically.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel that basically a Vin Diesel movie has been now #1 at the box office for 3 weeks in a row?
I don't think we can really call this one a Vin Diesel movie.
But he's in it.
I think it's going to get to his head pretty soon if it hasn't already, and an incident is going to happen. I say that in all seriousness.
Yep. Yeah. I'm scared of what that could actually be. All right. So we said see it. Any last things you guys want to basically convey in the non-spoiler version of this?
Drax in the first one his whole thing was that he did not understand humor and he did not show a lot of emotion, correct?
Correct.
Cool. So he's the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got that set?
Yep.
Right on.
So better or worse job by Batista?
Oh, Batista shines like the sun.
great.
He's great. Batista is awesome. But if this were a situation where, like, if you remember in Beer Fest where what's his name dies.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The tubby guy dies, and then they just bring back you didn't know it, but it was his brother, his clone brother, and he's like, just call me the same name. Like, if this was a different Drax, and showed him, was like, I'm different Drax, but for this, just call me Drax. And they're like, okay. Like, I guess the idea was that he's, like, growing and becoming more comfortable with his own emotional side.
Yeah.
But they skipped that whole part, so now he's just cracking jokes. He's just cracking wise all the time, shirtless.
A lot of times, like, the
Well,
joke
we'd have
is
it no
that they're
other way.
trying to teach Rocket and Drax sarcasm and stuff like that.
All right, so go see it and stay tuned on Saturday for our full-length spoilery review where we dive in depth into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Mantis was really great.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing our interest, or we just say what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest this week?
What's piquing my interest this week is the new Gorillaz album that released this past week. It's just he's great. It's real good.
That is a great album.
I really enjoy it. I really don't have anything else to say beyond that. So go listen to this album if you haven't. If you've been listening to the Gorillaz since they started.
Sam, what's piquing your interest?
Oh, piquing my interest is how not good the Inhumans costumes look.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and have you seen like the
wig
not
that Medusa's has on her head?
I haven't seen that. I was talking about just in general, like the poster. They're really pushing for the IMAX premiere of it.
Ooh, but that's the thing is if we're going to get TV quality stuff on the IMAX and we're like, so many imperfections, you can't look away.
Yeah.
It's damn good cosplay is what people seems to be the theme is that, yeah.
Oh, real quick, what about the Cloak and Dagger one? Did you guys see that?
No,
I did. I saw that. I saw the Cloak and Dagger one. I saw the Runaways one too.
Not many.
They leaked that one.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Not many trailers have made me lose interest in a show. That one did.
Which
Runaway?
Cloak and Dagger.
Oh.
That one looked so much like a freeformed one. Like,
yeah.
It basically realized all my worst fears, where it's like, this is going to be a freeform
This
series.
is Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many emotions. Oh, man.
That was so bad.
So much angst.
But what's piquing my interest is actually a really good trailer. Sam, what are two things I love in movies?
Boobs.
No, I mean, what types of movies do I like? Garrett, you can answer this if you do it. Let me rephrase this. Sam said he was so happy that he knows this about me, I think maybe 5 casts ago.
I don't know you. I thought I did. What are two things you like to see in movies?
Yes, I love sexy thrillers.
Oh.
Like what?
Like Cruel Intentions. Come on. we've
Oh, you do love sexy thrillers.
Like Wild Things. Come on.
I wasn't
love
far
sexy
off.
thrillers.
You do love sexy thrillers, though.
And I love Nick Cage. And I love Face Off. Has anyone seen the trailer for Inconceivable that came out this past week, which reunites Nick Cage and Gina Gershon from Face Off? And it's basically that same trope movie that we saw with Beyonce 3 years ago, or with Rosario Dawson like last month, where Gina Gershon and Nicolas Cage are trying to have a baby, but they can't. So there's two hot like girls, and they're going to pick one to be the surrogate. So one hot girl kills the other hot girl, and then she wants to keep the baby, and Gina Gershon's losing her mind. This movie looks so bad, it's going to be amazing. Like, this movie's going to go down as one of the best bad movies
That
ever.
sounds like nothing. The IMDb read says a mother looks to escape her abusive past by moving to a new town where she befriends another mother who grows suspicious of her.
That was not what the trailer showed at all.
Also, I just enjoy that based on what you said and just the definition of inconceivable, not capable of being imagined or grasped mentally.
Yes!
Oh, goodness.
Oh, but you're right. There's a mini face-off reunion in the trailer for Evil Nanny Thriller, Inconceivable. Oh, because they can't conceive. Damn.
Correct.
Did you just get that?
Nick Cage came up with that for sure. This movie was going to be called Bad Nanny. He's like, whoa, wait. Play on words. God damn it.
It's going to be so good. Hey, maybe it'll be so bad they might review it on Movie Versus, our sister podcast, which comes out every Thursday. That was a good segue, wasn't it?
That was great.
Yeah,
And you
don't
just
comment
stopped.
on it. Damn it.
Oh, you got to comment on the good segues, or else the audience doesn't know it's a good
Let us
segue.
comment on the good segues. That way you don't get caught up you're just like,
Joe,
hey, I did a good segue.
You got to wrap this up so I can start watching this Inconceivable trailer. is essentially what I'm... Yeah.
Anywho, you can always comment, question us, or just criticize us via email, Facebook, Twitter, and everything else. And you can do that by finding us on Facebook at 3Wise Media, finding us on Instagram at 3Wise Radio, finding us on Twitter at 3Wise Radio / #3Wise Radio, or you can find us, or you can email us at gmail at 3wiseradio@gmail.com. Garrett, we are in the midst of a brand new segment coming your way this month. Tell us about our cosplayer of the month real quick.
Oh, our cosplayer of the month is a guy. Crap, I'm just blanking right now.
Should we do this next week?
No, I mean No, I've already talked about this. I've already started the segment.
But we didn't announce the winner.
Yeah, because we said we were going to do it on the Instagram, and I did on the Instagram. Anyways, so our winner was MC Spider-Man. His name's Jay. He's from Indianapolis, or not Indianapolis. He's from Indiana. But yeah, just a quick little shout out to him. We'll be featuring him every Friday this month, and then we're going to have him on the show on our last episode of the month.
So look forward to that as well. That's going to do it for me this week, and for Garrett and Sam. Joining us next week when we'll take a look at medieval stuff, because King Arthur's coming out, and that's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.